So our next lesson on families is about family breakdown and divorce. In the book we're on page 80-81. So we're going to look at some of the stats on divorce and help you think like a sociologist, meaning why is it happening. Lots of key words here: petition, you ask a court to do something for you, it's a petition. Legal process, separation. Legislation, stigma, it means a mark on you, a metaphorical mark. Expectations, empty shell. Okay, let's go through it. Right, what has happened to the number of divorces in Britain in the last 60 years? It's pretty straightforward. It's gone up. PA means per annum. So 1950, there were about 20,000 divorces every year. 1990, 160,000. Gone down slightly. 2010, 135,000. But still, over the last 50 odd years, 60 years, a big rise in the number of divorces. Why? Well, first off, it's stigma. So stigma is a religious term. When Jesus came, he said to come back to life, he had marks on his hands and his feet and his side from being on the cross. His stigma. Yeah? So a stigma is a mark on you. And metaphorically it means if you have done something wrong and everybody dislikes you, they've labelled you as being that wrongdoer, that's your master status, it's a stigma. And certainly 50 years ago, 100 years ago, getting divorced was a huge shame on you and on your family. It would have been a stigma. You'd have felt a lot of pressure not to get divorced. People who were divorced, they lost all their friends, they might lose their job if they're a bloke. People would cross the road to avoid talking to them. It's a big shame on them. It's called a social stigma. That has largely gone. Now when people get divorced, people shrug their shoulders and say, that's a shame. This might be linked partly to religion. Again, religion is not, the church is not as powerful as it once was. Because the church is not as powerful, the church's power to say you shouldn't do that has lessened, hence the rise in divorce. That's one possible factor. B, the law. In the last 100 years, it has become much easier to get divorced. 100 years ago, it was virtually impossible to get divorced. Now, over the last 50, 60 years, it has steadily gotten easier and cheaper to get a divorce. So, for example, up to 40 years ago, to get a divorce, you had to prove that somebody had done something wrong. He beat me up. She cheated on me. It was called a matrimonial offence. Yeah? If you could prove that, the judge would say, you can get divorced. If you couldn't, the judge would say, no, you can't. Remember, a divorce is a legal document. Go back to the key words. You petition the court, go through a legal process, and say, can I get divorced, please? And the judge says yes or no. And if the judge says no, guess what? You're not divorced. That legal process has been made much more simple. And it has been made much cheaper. It used to cost you thousands of pounds, and now it costs almost nothing. So it's much easier to get divorced. C and D are linked. Expectations and women. Expectations. People expect a great deal more from marriage than they used to. Hearts and flowers, love, a lovely lifestyle. And if they don't get it, if their expectations are not met, they may well seek a divorce to try again somewhere else. And I think this is really linked to women. And women's expectations have changed a lot. What women expect from life and marriage has been transformed. And the evidence is this. If you look back, I told you, 2010 was 135,000 divorces. Of those, 120,000 of them were started by the wife. It was the wife divorcing her husband, not the other way around. Most divorces are asked for by women. They're the ones unhappy. Now in future lessons we'll look at this, we'll look at things called the dual burden and various feminist theories on this. But for the time being, we think it's unhappiness on the behalf of wives. Their expectations are not being met. So, divorce. What are the implications? Well, lone parent families are up. Lone spelt like that, Not like that. Please don't write that. Not that sort of lone parent families. Because there's more people divorced, remarriage has gone up. People get divorced, therefore cohabitation is up. People get divorced, therefore there are many more disputes about children, access, custody and money. Reconstituted families, stepdads, massively up. And the big worry, one of the consequences of divorce, lots of people fear that lots of boys especially lack male role models. They don't, think about socialisation. If you're a young lad, you learn how to be a man from your father. If father's not there, who are you going to learn it from? After done all this, I'll have a crack at this essay.